Member, good afternoon. Welcome to this meeting of the County Council. This meeting is being held remotely and the members are in attendance via video conferencing. The meeting is being live streamed and will also be available for repeated viewing. The members who are in attendance will be named for the public record. Can I remind all members that in accordance with the County Council Constitution, if you believe or you have a disclosable pecuniary interest or personal interest in any item on the day's agenda, this should be declared at the relevant time. If appropriate, you should leave the meeting while the item is being discussed. I would also to remind members that County Council standing order applies to this meeting. To please keep your microphone muted unless you have been called to speak, that you may be visible on the screen to the public and to others members, even when you are not speaking. Now I would like to call Chief Executive to speak, please.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, members, and thank you for your patience this afternoon. As you know, we have been through an extraordinary few weeks, and I am proud that as an organisation, collectively, we've put our utmost into delivering a high-level response to the COVID-19 pandemic. I am very much aware also that the democratic process sits at the heart of our organisation, and I'm pleased that we are able to hold today's annual general meeting further to the first remote meeting of the Cabinet held 2 weeks ago. Today is, however, the first remote meeting of the County Council, and in order for us to better manage the process, as we're witnessing this afternoon, of a remote meeting, not all members of the Council are directly present at the meeting today, although many are in attendance. This is in no way a reflection on those members who are not directly with us, and their cooperation in enabling us to hold a scaled-down meeting is recognised and appreciated. You will also, I hope, have seen my note earlier today to elected members offering reassurance about how we are handling apologies for today's meeting, which is to say apologies will not be recorded. Members, these arrangements are for this meeting only to enable essential business to be done and the smooth running of the meeting under arrangements which are new to all of us. So far as the July meeting of the Council is concerned, while that meeting may also be held remotely, normal attendance and other procedures should apply. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, John. Any officers from the Democratic Side confirm the attendance for this meeting, please?
Thank you, Chairman. The following members are in attendance. Councillors John Bennison, Chris Carter, Ros Chad, Charles Chowdhury, Adrian Collett, Mark Cooper, Liz Fairhurst, Drain Frankham, Jonathan Glenn, Judith Groeski, David Harrison, Marge Harvey, Edward Heron, Dominic Hiscock, Keith House, Rob Humby, Roger Huckstep, Wayne Irish, Gavin James, Andrew Joy, Mark Kemp G, Mel Kendall, Peter Latham, Anna McNair Scott, Keith Manns, Kirsty North, Russell Oppenheimer, Roy Perry, Jackie Porter, Stephen Reed, Patricia Stallard, Jan Warwick, and Sean Woodward. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. Now I have to say a few words. Honorary Aldermen, distinguished guests, friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen who are present today, albeit virtually. Thank you for your support, not just today, but throughout the past year. During these challenges time, I first wish to pay tribute to our local community who have responded so well to the coronavirus crisis. The way the people have come together in such an incredible way to support the elderly and vulnerable across the county throughout these difficult and unprecedented times. I also respect and appreciate the responsible way of our residents have been implementing and supporting effective social distancing as advised by the government and Public Health England. One cannot forget our NHS colleagues and carers in the community and the essential key workers who have been working tirelessly to support the health and well-being of the wider community. We are very grateful to them. I would like to thank the Dean of Winchester, the Very Reverend Catherine Ogle, Pirzada Qureshi from the Muslim community, Danny Humble, a member of the Jewish community in Winchester, for saying prayer at previous county council meetings. I was privileged to have had Councillor Roy Perry, our former leader at the Hampshire County Council, our present leader, Councillor Keith Mann, advising me with such a clarity and such a depth of knowledge. The Lord Lieutenant of Hampshire, Nigel Atkinson, has been incredibly supportive, directing the 5 royal visit, which I was privileged to attend. A big thank you to Natalie Jones, Chairman's PA, for pointing me in the right directions, for managing my diary efficiently. God knows I needed it. Also to Debbie Vaughan and Joe Weeks in Democratic and Member Services for their help and support. Chairman, Chief Executive relationship is an important one, with a huge amount of work that is put in by John Coughlin. I would like to pay tribute to this and to thank John and the corporate management team for all their work for Hampshire County Council. I would also like to thank all the officers who work with such a dedication. What we have achieved would not have been possible without them. I must also express my public thanks to my consort, my wife, Ul, as well as Tika, my daughter, and Mrs. Claire Burridge, who kindly supported on many other occasions. I could not have done this without their support. Thank you. This past year has been extraordinary. It has been an enormous privilege for me to represent you at events around the county. It has been an honor to broadcast the Hampshire message. It is difficult to know what to include and what to leave out as I look back over my years as a chairman. The year was understandably cut short with the COVID-19 and many main events cancelled. However, I would like to share some reflection grouped around some themes: remembrance, forging alliances, promoting positive mental health and well-being, which was my chosen chairman's theme this year. On the 10th of October 2019, World Mental Health Day, we held a conference at Ashburton Hall. The event allowed us to discuss opportunity for collaboration and partnership to help promote better mental well-being and stem the rise in mental health across Hampshire. Hampshire County Council, in its commitments to inspire better mental health across Hampshire, was a signatory to Public Health England's campaign to improve our nation's mental well-being, known as Prevention Concord Heart for Better Mental Health Initiative. We understandably had to cancel a further conference that was planned in April 2020. We cannot forget the mental health affects everyone in the society, and the mental health for our community must be valued now more than ever. It is our responsibility as a council to ensure the people know that they are not alone. It is important that we continue to ask service user and carer and to learn from them about how we involve them in what we do. I would like to say a huge thanks to Simon Bryant, Director of the Public Health, for helping me to achieve my goal promoting mental health. As we delve back into our history, 75th anniversary of the Day landing was held Sunday, the 2nd of June 2019 at Leap Country Park. Leap played a significant role in the Operation Overload in the run-up to D-Day. There's still physical evidence of the heritage on site and much local interest in this aspect of our history. It was a privilege to have been a part of the historical event in British history. I have met many amazing people from all walks of life. Whilst carrying out my duties, volunteers and the leaders are the fundamental part of retaining the vitality that exists in Hampshire. It was humbling to meet so many volunteers and gaining a true insight of how truly life-changing their work can be. You all been sent my list of engagement throughout my terms of office. There are some key highlights that I wish to mention. The first being my chairman concert annual on Sunday, the 8th of March 2020. Many civic heads and the county councillor across Hampshire attended. What was truly a spectacular event and one that I will never forget. Hampshire County Youth Orchestra performed a rich and varied program supported by the Art Council England and Department for Education. I trust we all will continue to support Hampshire Music Service. The other notable events include Her Highness the Princess Royal visit to Overcroft Museum, Leon Solent on the 26th of June 2019. His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales official opening of the new Centenary Garden at Exbury Gardens on the 10th of July 2019. The 25 and 40 years long service celebrations. Visit to the men's shed at New Milton on the 18th of February 2020. I was invited along with Steve Bryan, MP for Winchester, to attend the Defence College at Logistics, Policing and Administration, hosted by Brigadier Mike Caldicott, CB, on the 28th of February 2020. It was great to see the college at Worthy Down in Winchester and to hear of the training opportunity that are offered across the country. These are just a few of the events I attended during my year of office, and many, if not all, were amazing in various ways. But what stood out the most of all was the dedication and commitment to all the people involved, many of whom are volunteers. Being the chairman of the wonderful county of Hampshire has been one of the biggest honor of my life. What a great things to have done. What I have tried to do at every opportunity is to make sure everyone that interacted with it, they knew they were an important part of our community, were appreciated because, after all, that is the Hampshire way. Finally, I would like to thank you, members, for what you do, your Hampshire in a variety of ways. and for all your support to me as a chairman. I wish my successor well in the future, and may our council continue to go strength to strength. Now over to Debbie for the apologies, please.
Thank you, Chairman. In line with the Chief Executive's announcement earlier, there are no apologies. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Debbie. Election of the chairman. I will now hand over to Chief Executive to conduct the election for a new chairman of the County Council until May 2021.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Chowdhury. I understand there might be some problems with my own video, but I hope you can hear me, and I invite members to make nominations for the Chairman of the County Council for the year 2020 to 21. Councillor Manns, I think you're on mute.
Councillor Manns speaking. I would like to nominate Councillor Mel Kendall as the Chairman of the Council for the coming year.
Thank you very much.
Chief Executive, Councillor Humby here. I would like to second that nomination, please.
Thank you very much, Councillor Manns, and thank you very much indeed, Councillor Humby. Are there any other nominations, please, members? In which case, I believe that under these circumstances, we're going to have a roll call to confirm Councillor Kendall's appointment as chairman. So I hand over to Debbie Vaughan again.
Thank you, John. Members, I will call you in alphabetical order. Please declare for, against, or abstain. Councillor Benison.
For.
Councillor Carter.
For.
Councillor Chad.
For.
Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Chowdhury.
For.
Councillor Collett. Right, I'll move on. Councillor Cooper.
For.
Councillor Fairhurst.
For.
Councillor Frankham.
For.
Councillor Glenn.
For.
Councillor Grojewski. For. Councillor Harrison.
Abstain.
Councillor Harvey. Councillor Harvey.
For.
Councillor Heron.
For.
Councillor Hiscock.
Abstain.
Councillor House.
Abstain.
Councillor Humby.
For.
Councillor Huckstep.
For.
Councillor Irish.
Abstain.
Councillor James.
Abstain.
Councillor Joy.
For.
Councillor Kemp G.
For.
Councillor Kendall. Councillor Latham.
For.
Councillor McNair Scott.
For.
Councillor Manns.
For.
Councillor North.
For.
Councillor Oppenheimer.
For.
Councillor Perry.
For.
Councillor Porter.
Abstain.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Stallard.
For.
Councillor Warwick.
For.
Councillor Woodward.
For.
I think we're waiting for Kevin to confirm that outcome.
Thank you. I can confirm the outcome, Chief Executive, of 26 for and 6 abstain.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Thank you very much, Kevin. And that confirms that Councillor Kendall is duly elected as the Chairman of Hampshire County Council for the municipal year 2020 to 21. Councillor Kendall, I offer you my congratulations and hand over the meeting to you.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. I hope everyone can hear me now. I had some problems earlier with the microphones. Couple of nodding heads. I begin by thanking people for not voting against me. That was quite nice. I'm now going to move to item 3 on the agenda, which is the appointment of the Vice Chairman. And I call for nominations for Vice Chairman of the County Council until 2021's AGM.
Councillor Keith Mans, lead the council. I would like to nominate Councillor Marge Harvey as this year's Vice Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, congratulations, Councillor Humby here. I'd also like to second that nomination, please. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations? There being no other nominations, I declare that Councillor Marge Harvey is the Vice Chairman. I have pleasure in congratulating Councillor Harvey on being elected as our new Vice Chairman. Marge, I look forward to working with you throughout the year ahead. I now come to item 4 on the agenda, which is the Chairman's incoming statement and announcements. All members, ladies and gentlemen, all those watching on the webcast, I'll start by thanking all the members who are currently on this MS Teams webcast for getting here early and working for this meeting. This is the first such meeting by remote video, I think, in the history of the AGMs of Hampshire. So we have created a first here today. Let's hope it goes well. It is with a deep sense of responsibility and honour, and of course pleasure, that I accept your nomination to serve as Chairman of Hampshire County Council. Thank you for the support you have given me and for the trust you have placed in me. I thank the leader, Councillor Keith Mans, and the Deputy Leader, Councillor Rob Humby, for proposing and seconding my nomination. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate and thank Councillor Cowdrey for his outstanding service as Chairman over the past year. Charles, it was a pleasure to have had the opportunity to support you as Vice Chairman. Thank you for your distinguished contribution to the county, and particularly your contribution to your theme of health and well-being. Of course, it referred to mental well-being. And with the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, there's been a real need to consider the stresses that cause to people on those being safeguarded. This is my 24th year as a county councillor. That's a long time, as my supportive wife, Lynn, will tell you. And if I were to reminisce on the ups and downs over the years during that period, we would be here all day. Far too long for a web meeting. And you'd probably all leave before long. But I would like to just say thanks to all my councillor colleagues with whom I have served over the years. Also, I'd like to thank the Chief Executive and his staff for the comfort they give us councillors due to their excellence, as indicated by the numerous awards and honours bestowed upon them and this council thanks to them. Now, Hampshire is a beautiful county. In these last few weeks, most of us have been confined to our homes. working from home, or actually sheltering. For many of us, there could have been no better place to be. Milford-on-Sea, for example, is particularly lovely. It's a beautiful village, and the views across Christchurch Bay to the very white cliffs of the Isle of Wight and the Needles with its lighthouse are a daily reminder to me of how fortunate we are. At the moment, the air is so clear. The changing sea colours are amazing as the sunlight catches the ripples when the wind blows across the tides. But the sea hides a terrible underwater morass of plastic, affecting our sea life, threatening our health as the plastic microbes enter the food chain through our seafoods. As a county, we have been at the forefront of household waste disposal, either recycling plastics or converting them to energy in our various plants. But we need to do even more, and I hope that we can find similar solutions for commercial plastic waste. And this brings me to my theme for the year ahead. I know we will emerge well from this pandemic, as a nation and as a county. But I hope that this time for reflection brings about a change in the wasteful way we take for granted our resources and the effect that that has on our environment. So my theme for the year ahead is for a cleaner, greener Hampshire led by the County Council with its huge resources. And in particular, I want us to encourage the use of clean energy wherever we can, and to continue to reduce our carbon emissions, improving our air quality until finally we reach the nirvana of carbon neutrality. Such a theme does not mean to say that I do not value all the work this County Council does. Like all of you, of course, I do too. As a council, we are at the forefront of keeping the fabric of local communities strong and cohesive. And it is right that we remind ourselves about the contribution our councils make. I will continue to uphold our values and make a stronger connection where needed with other bodies. So I commend the work that we as an authority do. I am conscious that as the chairman for the county, there is a need for engagement in all civic activities and duties. I will continue with our ambition to be seen as an effective and practical authority striving for the good of our fellow citizens. I turn now to announcements of matters that have occurred since the last council meeting. Firstly, it is with sadness that I record that former County Councillor Frank Rust passed away at the end of March. Frank represented the Aldershot East Division from 2013 to 2017. The leader issued a press release in April, recording our sadness at his passing and mentioning how he had served this council in committee and on outside bodies. Earlier, I mentioned the awards this council wins time and again. Now, here are those currently meriting some special attention. In our Property Services Division, the following shortlisting for awards. The Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors Social Impact Awards are the only nationally recognised awards programme that show the impact of our built environment has on our people's lives. They highlight excellence at a regional and national level, identifying the projects making a positive difference. 3 projects designed by the Hampshire County Council's Property Services team have been shortlisted for awards as follows. In the education category, Oakmore School at Whitehill and Borden, a new secondary school to relocate existing school provision, as part of the wider regeneration of Whitehill and Borden. CETC, a new civil engineering centre for apprenticeship training, Fareham College. In the heritage category, Netley Chapel at Royal Victoria Country Park, consisting of conservation, access, interpretation and improvement works to the historic chapel at the heart of the county park. Then there's the Civic Building of the Year in the Spaces National Awards for 2020. 4 projects designed by the Hampshire County Council's Property Services team have been shortlisted for Civic Building of the Year in the Spaces National Award 2020. Spaces is the acronym for the Society for Public Architecture, Construction, Engineering and Surveying, an organisation who bring together property professionals with a focus uniquely on the public sector. Hampshire County Council is well represented, being the client of 3 of the 4 projects and the key funder to the 4th one. 4 projects are as follows. Endeavour Primary School, Andover, a new primary school to serve new development in the town. Netley Chapel, Royal Victoria Country Park, as mentioned earlier. The Visitor Centre at Queen Elizabeth Country Park. The remodelling, the access, the improvement works to the existing centre, forming a customer gateway to the country park. And the Theatre Royal at Winchester, a new entrance, foyer area and cafe providing contemporary and improved front of house facilities at this much loved local theatre. A couple of other departments also have awards running. HC3S has been recredited for the Soil Association's Food for Life Served Here Bronze Award. This accreditation is viewed annually and confirms that at least 75% of food is cooked fresh, is good quality and sourced locally where possible. HS3S are shortlisted finalists in the Marketing Excellent category for this year's Public Sector's Catering Awards. They were due to be held in March, but have been postponed until September, so we don't yet know who the winner is. Much focus recently on some of our other staff that have been working so hard with disadvantaged groups, and we think of Client Affairs Department, where Bernice Scott Field has been reappointed for a 2nd year as chair of the Association of Public Authority Deputies, which is the body for England and Wales which oversees client affairs services. The client affairs teams manage the finances and property for adults who lack mental capacity to be able to do this for themselves and who have no suitable representative. This position is granted to local authorities by the Court of Protection. Bernice Scott Field leads our client affairs service, which manages the property and finances of over 900 people in Hampshire and through contracted arrangements with other areas as well. And our HEC care service has supported registered nurses from overseas whose qualification was not previously recognised, and they've helped them to convert. To date, 12 staff who have been working as carers have now successfully completed their conversion, enabling their qualification to be registered with the Nursing and Midwifery Council. This has provided a significant boost to our registered nursing workforce numbers, enabling us to maintain safe, effective care. And our congratulations to all of those 12 members. So finally, members, thank you once again for attending today. My election as chairman, and I now turn to agenda item 5. And this is to confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 13th of February 2020. I understand there is a correction to be made on one of the pages, so I will pause when I get there. Actually, it might even be on the first page, so I think I'll pause now in case. It's Councillor Huxted, I think. Is that correct? Councillor Huxley, can you hear me? Councillor Huxley?
Yes, I can hear you. First of all, congratulations on your being elected as our new chairman, Mel. Yes, simply the first E needs to be changed into a U. Thank you.
Thank you for that spelling error correction. Now go to page 6 on your agenda, page 7 on your agenda, page 8 on your agenda, page 9 on your agenda, page 10 on your agenda, page 11 on your agenda, page 12 on your agenda, and page 13 on your agenda. Raise your hand if there is a problem with any of those pages and there's an item that you have a problem with. I'm not getting a signal that anyone has raised their hand, therefore I take it that I might sign those as a true record of the minutes of that particular meeting. Thank you. Item 6, there are no deputations. Item 7 is the County Council's Leaders Report, and I ask Councillor Mans to give his report now, please.
Thank you, Chairman. And first of all, I'd like to thank Councillor Charles Chowdhury for his year of office as chairman. I very much enjoyed working with him, and I know he's done a great deal during his year, despite the fact that we've experienced the crisis over the last 2 or 3 months with the coronavirus. I'd also like to welcome you, Councillor Mel Kendall, as the new chairman. I very much look forward to working with you during the coming year. And I'd also like to welcome our new vice chairman, Councillor Marge Harvey. Congratulations to you both. As you know, this is the first council AGM held online, and this meeting is designed to only cover essential business to take us forward into the new council year and to ensure that our own rules are in line with the latest government legislation. It is my intention that the next council meeting will be one with all councillors attending, ideally in person, but if necessary, online. We will then formally hand over the chains of office, install former Councillor Chris Connor as an honorary alderman, and acknowledge those former councillors and officers who've passed away since we last met. Provided this meeting today approves the recommendations on the agenda, decision days, together with scrutiny by select committees, will be able to take place online until we all get back to some form of normality and attend in person. Let me turn to the COVID crisis itself. First of all, from the start, I've always made it clear that the objective for us all in Hampshire is to slow and then stop the spread of the virus, and that we need to do this as one team, working together with our partners, both in the public and the private sector, whilst looking after each other as we do so. We are in regular contact with our MPs, other councils across the county, and the 2 LEPs, as well as with our local resilience forum and the 3 unitary councils. As you know, our communications team are providing much appreciated regular updates on the crisis to everyone. We now appear to be over the worst of the pandemic, but I remain concerned about our carers and our care homes. The new government grant for them is very welcome, and we are already getting this support out to them as quickly as we possibly can. Next week, our schools will progressively reopen. We are providing advice and guidance to schools as to how to do so with a high degree of safety. And I know that teachers and support staff are working extremely hard to make schools safe as they can when the pupils return. As we move forward, the County Council will have an important role to play in carrying out the test, track and trace procedures the government's recently announced Outbreak Management Plan encourages. This follows the successful pilot scheme on the Isle of Wight under the leadership of our own Director of Public Health. Let me end by thanking not only our teaching staff for the work they're doing, but also our care workers across Hampshire for all they do to protect and care for the elderly and those needing support. I'm also conscious of the hard work carried out by our partners who operate with and alongside us. Finally, all our staff have performed magnificently over the past months, and I know the Council will want me to thank them for everything they are doing. Mr. Chairman, that completes my report.
Thank you, Councillor House. We move on now to part 1 items, matters for decision. Agenda item 8 on proportionality and appointments. Would you please introduce the report, Councillor Manns, as leader?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Councillors have had the papers for some time, and as I said in my opening remarks, this council meeting is simply to actually carry out those functions we need to carry out. And in this case, it is simply to ensure that we have the political proportionality and we have all the council appointments as we're meant to. So I will simply read out the recommendations. I have one additional recommendation, which follows on from yourself being made chairman and Councillor Marge Harvey being made vice chairman. The recommendations that I would ask the council to approve are as follows. Approve the proportionality table at Appendix 1 of the report. Approve the appointment of chairman and vice chairman of the County Council's committees and panels at Appendix 2 to the report. Approve the appointment of the County Council's representatives on the Hampshire Fire and Rescue Authority and Shadow Hampshire and Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Authority as set out in paras 3233 of the report. And in addition, as I've indicated, I would like approval for the following appointments that follow on from Councillor Kendall and Councillor Harvey taking on their present responsibilities, and to cover the appointments they previously held on outside bodies. So the outside bodies concerned are as follows. New Forest National Park, the new councillor appointed will be Councillor Alexis McAvoy. The Assembly of European Regions, Councillor Roy Perry. The Community Rail Partnership Lymington to Brockenhurst, Councillor Michael White. The LGA General Assembly, Councillor Rob Humby. The Many Down Basingstoke Joint Management Committee, Councillor Peter Latham. The Southampton Port Consultative Committee Deputy, Councillor Russell Oppenheimer. And in respect of the duties previously carried out by Councillor Harvey, the Children's and Young Persons Select Committee, Councillor Bill Withers will take over from her. The Health and Adult Social Care Select Committee, Councillor Rod Cooper, and the Regulatory Committee, Councillor Andrew Gibson. And finally, I have one other appointment, and that is Councillor Stephen Barnes-Andrews of Southampton City Council be appointed as the substitute employer representative on the Hampshire Pensions Fund panel and board for the municipal year 2021. A vacancy still exists for the employer representative from Portsmouth City Council. And I ask the council through you, Chairman, to agree those recommendations.
Right, I understand that Councillor Porter wishes to speak. Councillor Porter, if you unmute, you can speak.
Chairman, thank you very much indeed. Actually, it's item 9. When I made my submission to request it, it was item 8, but it's been moved down, so I'm afraid it's item 9. Thank you.
Mute again. Right. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this item, or can we move to the recommendations?
No one else has indicated they wish to speak, Chairman.
Thank you, Ken. You all agree the recommendations? I think just wave your hands if you do and stay silent if you don't. Thank you. I see enough waves. I'm accepting those recommendations as carried. I trust that's all right with the legal people.
Chairman, I think we need to have the roll call for the recommendations because not all members can wave their hands.
Okay, I thought there was a considerable majority just by looking at the screen, but I stand corrected. I will now mute myself and allow the Chief Executive or someone to take over.
Thank you, Chairman. I will do the roll call. Members, again, I'll call you in alphabetical order and please declare for, against or abstain. Councillor Benison.
For.
Councillor Carter.
For.
Councillor Chad.
For.
Councillor Chowdhury.
For.
Councillor Collett. Councillor Collett. Councillor Cooper.
For.
Councillor Fairhurst.
For.
Councillor Frankham.
For.
Councillor Glenn.
For.
Councillor Grojewski. For. Councillor Harrison.
For.
Councillor Harvey. Councillor Harvey.
For.
Councillor Heron.
For.
Councillor Hiscock.
For.
Councillor House.
For.
Councillor Humby.
For.
Councillor Irish.
For.
Councillor James.
For.
Councillor Joy.
For.
Councillor Kemp G.
For.
Councillor Kendall.
For.
Councillor Latham. Councillor Latham. I think that was a 4.
Yeah.
Councillor McNair Scott.
For.
Councillor Manns.
For.
Councillor North.
For.
Councillor Oppenheimer.
For.
Councillor Perry.
For.
Councillor Porter.
For.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Stallard.
For.
Councillor Warwick.
For.
Councillor Woodward.
For.
Debbie, you didn't call my name. I am for. That's Councillor Huckstep.
I beg your pardon, Councillor Huckstep.
And Debbie, I want to make sure you got my vote this time, because you called my name twice. You didn't seem to hear me. Councillor Collett.
Okay, Councillor Collett, could you just repeat your vote, please?
For.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One moment while my colleagues just tally up the vote. Thank you.
Chairman, I can confirm that 33 members were for, none against, none abstain.
Thank you. Those recommendations are then carried. We move now to item 8, which is the Local Government Police and Crime Panel Executive Procedure Amendment, and I need to consider a report of the Cabinet. I presume, therefore, that it'll be the leader who would move this item.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, this is item 9. I think that this is the Local Government Police and Crime Panel and Local Authority Police and Crime Panel meetings, amendments to standing orders and executive procedures. This follows on from the recent government legislation is to ensure that our own standing orders are aligned with the latest legislation. What I will do is simply read out the recommendations, and I would ask the council to approve these recommendations. Recommendation A agrees that for the clarity the deputation rules be amended so as to allow deputations to be received remotely at remote meetings of the County Council, Cabinet Committees, standing panels, individual executive member decision days for the duration of these regulations. B agrees in the light of the coronavirus epidemic and its consequential impact on the holding of individual executive member decision days that the Constitution should be amended in order to allow individual executive member decision days originally held in public to be held remotely for the duration of the regulations. And finally, C agrees in consequence of A and B above that amendments as indicated in Annex 1 and Annex 2 to this report be made to standing orders and executive procedures and role of the executive containing respectively within Part 3, Chapter 1, Part 3, Chapter 2 of the Constitution. Chairman, I would recommend these proposals, or more specifically ask that these recommendations be approved by the Council.
Thank you, Councillor Manns. I have two members have indicated they wish to speak on this. Councillor Porter and then Councillor House. So, Councillor Porter.
Thank you, Leader, and Chairman, and thank you for letting me speak on this item, and congratulations to you. I would just like to raise on B the decision days. They're being held in public, but obviously held remotely for the duration of the regulations. And I'd ask that despite the excitement of this online involvement that we all have today, and we have been enduring, I would suggest, for the last few weeks, actually our inboxes are fuller than ever. And ensuring that decisions are clear and easily available to both us and to the public, that the search functions of our website that offer these online services efficiently and effectively too. And I ask that Decisions Day spokesperson opportunities are not lost within the directors' diaries. There's a decision that's been made this week, and I'm very conscious that the public would not necessarily have the access to these that they would in the ordinary way in which we've worked in the past. So I have to say, I have to continue to ask why we don't use something like Zoom for public meetings when the public have a more easily accessible system. I appreciate that everybody's told us we've got to use Teams, but there we are where we are. But my main point is that the access on the website is much better, that the search function is updated so that we have much more accurate access to the papers than we currently have, because I think it's something that the public need to see, especially at this time.
Thank you, Councillor Porter. I will certainly get IT through the Chief Executive to look at the points you make, because I'm totally with you on the fact that we've got to ensure that ensure that the public are aware of the decisions that are being made. So thank you for bringing that up.
I have Councillor House, then Councillor Collett.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and can I add to other congratulations to you on your election as Chair of the Council. I'm sure you'll do a very fair job over the course of the coming year, and I was particularly pleased to hear your emphasis on climate change as a key issue over the coming year. The paper that we have in front of us this afternoon is very much one about change as a result of the consequences of the pandemic. It really is important that we treat democracy as of importance going forward, and that does mean being able to take decisions in the public arena with the public able to scrutinise. We have for the past few months inevitably had decisions that have been taken behind closed doors. It's good to get back to the transparency of meetings where the public can hold us to account. Over time, I suspect that there will be people who want to look back on these times and work through what went well, what could have been better, or what went wrong during the course of the epidemic, so that we can all learn from that for the future. These are challenging times, and we need to make sure that we can be held properly to account. remote meetings, as we now have, also give us the opportunity to reduce travel. We have probably saved several thousands of miles of journeys on our roads, or indeed on public transport, just by having this meeting virtually. And I'd like to think that we can learn from the issues we're facing now to have more meetings that don't have to physically be in the same place virtually to save transport. I'd like to thank the leader for being receptive to ideas from the Liberal Democrat group on the composition items on this paper, particularly those that have ensured that all decisions remain in the public arena with opportunities for scrutiny. And Chairman, just while I'm speaking, this is the first opportunity I've had to speak during this meeting, probably the last two, I suspect. Can I put on record the thanks of the Liberal Democrat group to absolutely everyone on the front line over the course of the last couple of months. We all appreciate the enormous sacrifices and difficulties that staff in the health service have had to face, the difficulties that ambulance crews have had to face, the difficulties that carers have had to face. And I think probably for me, most of all, those people who've been working in care homes in quite extreme circumstances, they could never, ever have imagined at the point they signed up for their job. The comparison is in many ways like a war, but a war where the soldiers didn't expect to be in the war and where the victims didn't expect to be on the field either. These are challenging and difficult times, and applies equally to those others in the front line who have often been forgotten, from the bin crews who are out there collecting waste, to our supermarket staff who actually have done an amazing job opening up stores and making sure that we could get access to food. So I'd like, on behalf of the Lib Dem group, to put on record our thanks to everyone who's played a part in keeping Britain safe over the course of the last couple of months. And I hope, broadly speaking, people can stay home, in their own home, over the course of the coming weeks as necessary to stop the spread of this virus. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you for your kind comments, Councillor House. Councillor Collett, you need to unmute. Can't hear you. Councillor Collett, you need to unmute. I'll try and unmute you from here. I've unmuted. No. You should find a microphone on the bar, and you should be able to press the microphone, and that would unmute you.
Hello.
I think you're okay now. Now you're all right.
Good. I had unmuted myself, but something central must have re-muted me. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I'm sorry about the gremlins. Please proceed.
Okay, right. Well, first of all, I'd like to associate myself very strongly with the words of Councillor House a few moments ago. I think he made some very valuable points that I'm sure we all agree with. I really want to just pick up on two minor points on this paper. I think the paper's a good paper and it moves us forward to where we need to be. And I hope neither of my points are controversial and they're points that can be taken on board. The first one on page 21, paragraph 4.5, it refers to non-executive members will be allowed to speak at Cabinet and committees of Cabinet meetings and individual executive member decision days by prior arrangement with the chairman of the meeting. When we moved to the Cabinet system, it was a principle that was established right from the very first day that at executive member decision days, other party spokespersons would be allowed to be present and make comments and ask questions. Even though they obviously wouldn't be part of the final decision making. That's absent from the wording here, and I feel we're drifting, not by intent, but we're drifting further and further away from that clearly established principle, and it's rather a similar point to the point that Councillor Porter was making a moment ago. So can I just request that some words be added to this so that that long established principle is protected? I hope that's not controversial. The second point relates to deputations. And I welcome the fact that we will facilitate deputations at our meetings in the future, as we have done up until now. I have heard that the intention is that the deputation should only be heard and not seen. I don't see why that should be necessary. Every other body that I've been involved with that has guests speaking in any way, the guests can be seen as well as being heard. And that can have a number of implications, both the emphasis of what someone's trying to tell us. Anyone with a hearing impairment might find that not being able to see the person makes it even more challenging to understand the points they're trying to make to us. So if there is any truth in that suggestion, then I would like to ask that we amend that so that when deputations do attend, just for the period of their deputation, they should be able to be seen as well as be heard. Thank you, Chairman. I'd appreciate comments on both of those points.
Councillor Manns.
Yeah, on both the points you make, Councillor Collett, I'm very happy to go back and look at, to find a way of actually achieving that. If you're happy with that the recommendations remain as they are at the present time, and accept that we will look at both those points that appear to have been admitted, if that's the case, I'll take that up with the legal advisor and obviously Chief Executive. That's all right.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy with that way forward.
Thank you. Are there any other people who wish to speak?
I've not seen any other indications of members wishing to speak, Chairman.
Thank you, Kevin. In which case, shall I ask Barbara or Debbie to go through the voting procedure again for this recommendation?
Thank you, Chairman. Members, as before, please declare for, against or abstain. Councillor Benson.
For.
Councillor Carter.
For.
Councillor Chad.
For.
Councillor Chowdhury.
For.
Councillor Collett.
Councillor Collett, put your hand up if you agree.
Hang on, it's now unmuted. For. It's a very slow unmute process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Cooper.
For.
Councillor Fairhurst.
For.
Councillor Frankham.
For.
Councillor Glenn.
For.
Councillor Grojewski. For. Councillor Harrison.
For.
Councillor Harvey. Councillor Harvey. Councillor.
You can hear you, Councillor Harvey. Just say for or against.
Councillor Harvey. Councillor Heron.
For.
Councillor Hiscock.
For.
Councillor House.
For.
Councillor Humby.
For.
Councillor Huckstep.
For.
Councillor Irish.
For.
Councillor James.
For.
Councillor Joy.
For.
Councillor Kemp G.
For.
Councillor Kendall.
For.
Councillor Latham.
For.
Councillor McNair Scott.
For.
Councillor Manns.
For.
Councillor North.
For.
Councillor Oppenheimer.
For.
Councillor Perry.
For.
Councillor Porter.
For.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Stallard.
For.
Councillor Warwick.
For.
And Councillor Woodward.
For.
Thank you.
Good.
Chairman, I have 32 members for, no abstain and no against.
A couple of unknowns, but that's carried, so we can move on then. We go to item 10, but before I call item 10, I think the legal advisor would like to give us a word or two on it.
Yeah, thank you,
Barbara?
Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. It was just to indicate that all members may have a personal interest in this matter, and I would suggest that if you're agreeable, that we take it as read that all members have so declared.
I agree, unless there is someone who objects to that. Unmute quickly or hold your peace. Right, we'll move on then. This item should be introduced by the leader again.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a very straightforward change. It is to Section 85 of the Local Government Act. And I'll read out the recommendation for the Council. It is recommended that the County Council approves an extended period of absence pursuant on Section 85 of the Local Government Act 1972 to the 30th of September 2020 for any member of the County Council who is unable to attend a meeting of the County Council, its committees, outside bodies or joint committees to which any such member of the County Council has been appointed as a result of illness, social distancing, self-isolation or shielding as a consequence of COVID-19 virus. I ought to add that if by any chance the pandemic lasts longer than we expect, we may well come back to you at the next council meeting asking for a further extension. But we believe the extension until the 30th of September should suffice, and I would ask the council to approve that recommendation.
Do any members wish to speak on this item? Councillor Cooper, then Councillor Collett.
Chairman, thank you. I wish to raise a point of order after we finish with this item, if I may, but before the meeting ends.
I think you must raise your point of order now.
Okay. Basically, the number of votes we've got here are all assenting votes, and I'm just wondering why we don't have the system we operate in my district, for example, where the chairman says, is there any dissent? And if there's no response, then the chairman says there is no dissent, the recommendation is approved. Makes life a lot simpler for the officers and for the meeting length. Any comments, please?
Thank you. I tried that earlier when I thought it was pretty obvious that everyone was in agreement, but the officers have decided prior to this meeting that for legality's sake, they would like to actually call out everyone's name, make sure they've got all the votes just in case. So we're going to bear with that, but I'll take under advisement what you've said and discuss it with people later. Thank you. So we were on Councillor Collett then.
Thank you, Chairman. I hope you can hear me this time.
Yes.
Good. Yes, I very much support this paper. It's a sensible way forward for all of us. None of us know what the next 6 or 9 months will hold. On paragraph 1.5 at the bottom of page 27, it refers to a date of 31st of December, but the recommendation says 30th of September. I hope it's the 31st of December. September seems just a little bit too soon. Could we clarify that point, please?
Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Collett, for noting something that seems to have been overlooked. I'm very grateful to you for that. I'd like to call upon the Chief Executive or the legal advisor to explain why the two dates are different.
That's permissible.
It looks to me like human error, Chairman, and in my opinion, if members are happy to accept this steer, I'm inclined to agree with Councillor Collett and would refer to the latter date in the circumstances.
Thank you, Councillor Collett. Thank you.
And I'm very happy to accept that amendment to the recommendation. So the recommendation now reads to the 31st of December 2020.
Right. Well, we're going to go through this business of you all have to have your name called out and you have to vote. So, Debbie?
Chairman.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I just had an indication that Councillor House wishes to speak.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. Councillor Collins made pretty much the same point that I was going to make, so thank you for getting that issue cleared up. Just for anyone who's listening thinking what's going on here, or watching thinking what's going on here, because this was a special meeting, the arrangement was that unusually, and I hope perhaps a sign for the future, we had an arrangement where both the main parties agreed in advance the recommendations that were going forward for this meeting to make sure there was consensus, and the consensus clearly was that 31st of December is the appropriate date. So I'm sure it is just a question that the recommendation wasn't updated when the report was updated for publishing. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I've had no other indications of members wishing to speak, Chairman.
Thank you, Kevin. In which case, back to Deborah.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, please declare for, against or abstain. Councillor Benison.
For.
Councillor Carter.
For.
Councillor Chad.
For.
Councillor Chowdhury.
For.
Councillor Collett.
For.
Councillor Cooper.
For.
Councillor Fairhurst.
For.
Councillor Frankham.
For.
Councillor Glenn.
For.
Councillor Grojewski. For. Councillor Harrison.
For.
Councillor Harvey.
For.
Councillor Heron.
For.
Councillor Hiscock.
For.
Councillor House.
For.
Councillor Humby.
For.
Councillor Huckstep.
For.
Councillor Irish.
For.
Councillor James.
For.
Councillor Joy.
For.
Councillor Kemp G.
For.
Councillor Kendall.
For.
Councillor Latham.
For.
Councillor McNair Scott.
For.
Councillor Manns.
For.
Councillor North.
For.
Councillor Oppenheimer.
For.
Councillor Perry.
For.
Councillor Porter.
For.
Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Stallard.
For.
Councillor Warwick.
For.
Councillor Woodward.
For.
Thank you, Chairman.
Chairman, I can confirm we have 33 votes for, no against and no abstain.
Thank you. So that recommendation is carried, and that brings us to the end of the meeting. May I thank you all for your cooperation. I thought it went very smoothly and very easily in the most relaxed fashion. And I agree with Councillor House that I think all meetings should be done on this basis forever and ever and ever. Amen. And we can stop worrying about travelling and burning up fuel on the motorways and getting in the way of business people who need to get on with reviving the economy. So thank you all. That's my little tirade for the day. Cheerio. I'm going to press the off button if I can find it.